we're just one example, there are so many. So here's a little bit about our life before Nu Skin, our being my husband Steve Kushturian and myself. We're professional people. I was a television production designer and set designer, and I'd worked many years in that industry. And I love design, but I found that it was a very stressful role. I was always working really long hours. Other people would tell me what to do, and even though I was always working, I found, and what I was earning was actually quite good money, well, very good money, but somehow just living a normal life, paying a mortgage on an ordinary house, and saying yes if my friend said, do you want to go out? And I say yes. At the end of the month, there wasn't any more money left. And I guess I wasn't a good saver. So I knew that if I wanted to do anything other than have a really normal life, I had a nice life. I could go overseas every few years, and not stay anywhere particularly special. But I had a nice life, but it wasn't like an amazing life of my dreams. So if I wanted to have a nice life in the future, even better, then I obviously had to do something else, because, in addition at least, because I'd been doing that for so long. And so when a good friend of mine, Sean Brady, who I hadn't seen or spoken to for about 8 years, got in touch with me and told me that he was here and I was back in Australia. He'd been doing it in the States, and he was expanding his business and looking for some good people. I wanted to have a look, and I found that it was a very, very exciting opportunity. And I could see that if I participated, I could set myself up in a way that was completely beyond what was possible through my normal professional career. So I got going. I told my new boyfriend, Steve, who was a civil engineer, about this wonderful opportunity, and he said, it's great, you do it. Right? But 6 months later, when he saw, and I was still doing my set design work, but when he saw that what was happening, sorry, just so you know, guys, the timer isn't working, and timing's not my strength, so I can well go over if that doesn't go. Okay. So basically that he eventually, 6 months after I'd started in the business, and I was still doing it part-time, that he came on board, and we've been building our business, and our business has grown all around the world, and we've had amazing experiences. We absolutely love this company, and it's certainly created a life we could never have had before, and the photos and things like that I'm going to show you will be examples of that. So here's the next one. Okay, so we all come into the business, or in life, everyone has different dreams. So I'm just going to put up, these are some of the reasons, that why people might join the business. So some people might just want some extra income. Others love the idea of real financial freedom. Some people would always love to have their own business, or perhaps they want more spare time, in terms of their normal life. To have professional development, to have the opportunity to help other people, to meet new people. Some people would like to do these sorts of things. Imagine the opportunity to leave something for your kids and your family, or be able to really pay for quality, the best education. And then the toys, like a beautiful house or boat or lovely car or travel. Whatever it is, everyone has dreams, but for most people, these things kind of stay dreams. But whatever it is, that time, freedom, and an incredible income make possible, this is truly achievable through this opportunity. So in fact, Nu Skin is a global business, and this is what Sean and Sherry Brady, our sponsors, told us, and we got really excited about that. I'd always loved travel. I had travelled before, just like any normal person, but certainly not the way that we can travel now. But I love the idea of being able to build a business that would spread all around the world, and that I would get to know people from different cultures. And that's, as you can see in this room, we certainly do have that opportunity, and it's a wonderful, very enriching thing. So, so because we can start our business from right where we are, and in fact most of our international business has grown all over the world, and so much more so now with social. With social, you know, when we joined, it was before the internet and this sort of thing. So the possibilities now are just multiplied. So here are some examples from what happened in exactly to us. So the gentleman in the circle was someone that was a friend of a colleague, actually somebody that I met through my work, and he was living here in Sydney, and he and his wife joined the business, and they went back to Hong Kong just on a holiday and started introducing the business there, and so our business started to grow in Hong Kong. Now, the guy standing by the stairs is John Connolly, and this wasn't the party where I met him, but I met him at a friend's party, and he was a lawyer, and he owned some supermarkets, actually, a lawyer and a banker, and he owned some supermarkets. But he was at the right place in his life, and so he and his wife started to build the business here, actually within the French community, and Claude, who's here today, and Claude has a team around the world. So she was within that French community, and that was right here in Sydney. And in fact, this party was taken at one of the Blue Diamonds in his business's place in the south of France. And there was actually a big party, a lot of people. And then another time that I met some people that I introduced to the business, because most of the people that you'll bring into this business, you actually don't even know now. You probably haven't met them. And Kirsty and Paul Cook were a young couple. They were musicians, and Kirsty was an actress. And I just asked them some directions in Melbourne when I was catching a tram one day. And by the time we both got off that tram, they were interested enough for me to be able to lend them a video. It was before the internet, and I actually had brought some down to Melbourne with me in my hotel where we were, right there. And so that was the start of an incredible journey, which I'll show you also later. And then flying down, in fact, to Melbourne, I sat in the middle seat, and Steve did this, so blame him. And I spoke to the guy next to the window, and luckily for me, he decided it was interesting, and he joined. And after he joined, that amazing guy, George Kaligaris, was introduced by that guy, Grant. So just from talking to somebody that on a plane has led to an incredible business of George and Elaine's all around the world. Who's that great guy? And a friend of my mum's knew someone who knew this guy. And his name's Ivo, and he was an Italian guy living in Sydney. He was a chef, actually, up in the Blue Mountains. And his wife was German, and she was a beauty therapist. And they joined, and they moved over there when Europe opened and started to build a business all around Italy and Germany, and in fact, it spread to Austria. And one day we had a phone call from a lady who was the sponsor of this lady, Ira, who's now the leader of our team over there, saying, "We've got a whole group here, we're in Vienna, would you consider coming over?" Oh, I'd think about it. You know, absolutely, of course we would. So what fun. So we went over, and there's a whole team there, and Stephen, in fact, has been mentoring Ira. They're great friends, and she has a lovely team there. So Kirsty and Paul, the couple that we met on the tram, that I met on the tram, started, and they were building their business in Melbourne, and one day we rang them after about, I guess, a year, and we said, you know, we want to go and have some fun. We want to go to England and build the business over there. Would you think about it? Would you like to come with us? So they rang us up a half an hour later and said, okay. So we went over, and this was actually from our window. So you can see we're like right near the main street, near Oxford Street. It was a beautiful apartment. And yes, my hair isn't real, what can I say? That's me, I'm the dark one. But anyway, that's Kirsty, the blonde is Kirsty, right? That is Kirsty and Paul, and of course the guy in the middle, that is the very famous and amazing Nathan Riggs. And there we all were in 1995 in London at the opening of the UK market. And so we kept, what we did was, even though, because, you know, these days there are so many things that make it easier to build the business than when we did. But of course, we always loved the business and knew what an incredible opportunity it was. But, so even though we had a business that was growing, because we'd introduced some people and they'd started to build their businesses and started to bring other people into the team, you know, it didn't always grow as fast as we really wanted it to. But we kept our vision, we were patient, we were persistent, just like my Power Lips colour, persistence, right? And we kept taking action. We saw it as a 5-year plan. We thought we'd be Blue Diamonds in 5 years. Not like Rebecca, who, goodness knows, she was Blue Diamond in like a year, and George, very similar sort of a time frame. Anyway, we kept doing the work, and because we knew that this was for life. And this business can change your life. And the friends and the relationships, the close, amazing friends and family that you get out of this, there's nothing else that I can imagine that could give you that quality of relationships in that way. And here's John 17 years after we started in the business. You know, we just had so many incredible adventures together, incredible friends. This is some of John's team in Europe. And we were over in Europe at, this was actually in Barcelona at one of the European conventions. He's got teams in Asia as well. And these are some of the guys. And what do you think the belief of somebody would be if they would inspire their own son? So the guy, second from the left, is Sean Connolly. It's actually John's son. So he's a lawyer. What do you think of someone that their belief must be to tell their son, why don't you come into the business? And so he's a leader in the business there. And then you have great fun. You have quality of experiences that you just can't have otherwise. So for example, I'd travelled before, but I certainly wasn't invited into people's homes. Like in France, I always loved France. But I'd stay in an ordinary little hotel, I'd go on the tourist buses. But here, this is a party, just a beautiful dinner that was hosted in our honour in a magnificent historic house in France by some people in John's team, and we're all great friends. You can't buy that. This is John's team, part of John's team in Switzerland, right? So can you see, just like meeting someone at a party in Sydney can lead to all these teams, because people tell people tell people. It was incredible. We go often to Switzerland, and the leaders here, they're our really close friends. So here we are in London, and so that's Steve, that young guy's Steve. And the other lady is Chrissa. And Kirsty met Chrissa in London, and she's a British woman, and she joined. And when she heard that Thailand was going to open, Chrissa went and found a guy that she knew, who was an English guy, Alan, who was working in the Thai Tourist Board in London. And Alan got the saw how big it was, and he joined. And then Kirsty and Paul and we all actually went and had an adventure in Thailand. And they told, Alan told them, gave them a lead, who was a Filipino lady in Thailand. And that Filipino lady gave them some leads in the Philippines. And this group actually was a combined group of George's team and Kirsty's team over in the Philippines many years ago, and Paula was there. And in fact, here she is, this wonderful team of leads, incredible person that we're privileged to have here. Stand up, Paula, amazing leader. And Paula has come over here. She had a family here, so she came over here. And Sheila, in fact, is in Paula's team, as are many of the beautiful Filipinos here. And she's built a whole team in Sydney, and she's incredible. So, and then Kirsty and Paul went back to New Zealand, and when they heard Indonesia was opening, they looked, because the strategy that we were taught is, if you want to build internationally, you look for people from those different cultures within the place where you are. And so they looked for Indonesians that were in New Zealand, and in fact they introduced 3